as His Excellency the President has always been there for Caliph General Seren Mansour Sy and the entire family. Seren Abdulaziz Sy, the release went on, expressed his sex readiness and willingness to continue to further strengthen the already cordial relationship that exists between His Excellency the President of the Republic of the Gambia and the late Caliph General Seren Mansour Sy and family within and out of Tiwawan. It concludes by saying special mention was made of the special envoy dispatched by His Excellency the President of the Republic during the funeral. May the soul of the late Caliph General rest in peace. U.S. President Barack Obama is demanding concrete proposals to deal with the gun violence dividing opinion in Washington. And tragedy gripped Pakistan this week when 9 people administering polio immunization were killed by unknown gunmen. We have details of these and other stories right after this break. Welcome back to GRTS News. U.S. President Barack Obama is demanding concrete proposals to deal with gun violence, and he wants them by January. Mr. Obama said his Vice President Joe Biden will spearhead the effort, which is talking on a new urgency. We have details in this report.
The president said this time Washington won't just talk about tackling gun violence.
This is not something where folks are going to be studying the issue for 6 months and publishing a report that gets read and then pushed aside. This is a team that has a very specific task to pull together real reforms right now.
He urged Congress to vote early next year on an assault weapons ban, a ban on high-capacity ammunition clips, and close the gun show loophole so all gun purchasers are subject to background checks. The president's task force will recommend policies beyond gun control.
We're going to need to work on making access to mental health care at least as easy as access to a gun. We're going to need to look more closely at a culture that all too often glorifies guns and violence.
The president is hoping to seize this moment of heightened public awareness to push Washington to change.
If there's one thing we should have after this week, it should be a sense of perspective about what's important.
The announcement is quieting criticism from within the president's own ranks. Congresswoman Carolyn McCarthy, who lost her husband in a mass shooting, now feels the president is showing leadership.
We will follow the President's Commission on Education, mental health, and all of the other things that need to be done to keep us safe.
But far-reaching gun regulations will no doubt be met with resistance from the National Rifle Association, which has yet to weigh in on the debate but will hold a press conference Friday. Senior administration officials say they are ready.
The NRA is an organization that has members who are mothers and fathers, and I would expect that they've been impacted by this as well, and hopefully they'll do some self-reflection.
It's still to be seen if there's a clash between the White House and the NRA on how to deal with the issue of gun violence. A number of pro-gun rights lawmakers have changed their tune on whether to consider gun control measures, but the influence of the NRA is still very much a concern for a number of other politically vulnerable pro-gun rights lawmakers who have remained silent on the issue. Brianna Keeler, CNN, the White House.
Tragedy gripped Pakistan this week when 9 people administering polio immunization were killed by unknown gunmen. The violence has sparked widespread protest while UNICEF and the World Health Organization suspended polio vaccinations across the country. But as we hear in the CFI report, Pakistani authorities are carrying on with the exercise targeting a staggering 1 million children.
In Pakistan this week, 9 people working on a polio immunization program have been killed by gunmen. Pakistan, Nigeria, and Afghanistan are the only 3 countries in the world where polio is still endemic. One of the health workers had been on life support since Wednesday but died from injuries on Thursday. He was shot in the head by armed gunmen in the suburb of Peshawar where he was administering polio vaccinations. Families of the victims are torn between shock and incomprehension.
I don't know what to do. My mind is not working.
UNICEF and the World Health Organization have suspended work on polio vaccinations across Pakistan. And the violence has sparked widespread protest. But Pakistani authorities, who supplied personnel to the campaign, have decided to continue with vaccinations in the two provinces where the violence occurred.
We go out door to door and risk our lives to save innocent children from being permanently handicapped. For what? So that our coming generations turn out to be healthy. We work for our country, and we are being rewarded in the form of death. What kind of justice is it? Why are we targeted and killed?
The polio campaign is aimed at about 1 million children that have not been vaccinated against the disease in the northwest of the country and in the southern city, Karachi. No one has claimed responsibility for the attacks, but in June the Taliban banned immunization in the tribal region of Waziristan, and some Islamists say it is to sterilize Muslims. Others have publicly opposed the campaign and say it is a cover for espionage. The World Health Organization has reported 56 cases of polio infections in Pakistan this year. Most were among the Pashtun ethnic group in the northwest of the country.
The Syrian people are suffering on a massive scale. The UN says a quarter of the population is in desperate need of food, shelter and other assistance. The world body is launching a humanitarian plan with about $1.5 billion for the children. That means going to school. And even though bullets and shelling are continuing, teachers are trying to keep the peace as best as they can.
Yes, they yell, "We're ready for lessons," and in they come. And it's 1,600 pupils at this Damascus school, 2 shifts across the day. Under the ever-watchful eye of President Assad, reading lessons for children in a city, a country, at war with itself. What kind of things are these little girls seeing beyond the school gates?
We as educators don't support one side or the other. Our concern is for the child to learn. So we keep the school open and help with their fears. We can't do as much as before, but the key thing is to try and deal with their anxiety.
Up, down, left, right, 2, 3, 4. Out in the playground, it's a PE lesson. Exercises including running to the wall, touching it and running back. Here, the running's for fun. But beyond the school walls, a shell or a mortar can land anywhere, anytime. Running can be a matter of life and death. For obvious reasons, the killing of small children and teachers in and around school buildings is pretty near the top of the news agenda at the moment. So it is that in this educational district and the one next door alone, in the past 2 weeks, 35 small children and 2 teachers have been killed. The security building next to the school was car-bombed recently, leaving a staff candid about the problems they face here.
Lots of children had to leave their areas, friends, teachers, and move, which is very difficult. Also, we get students pushed out from places, so the school's new to them. We do our best to help, but it's beyond us. It's way too big.
And then little Zebra Asadi said she wanted to sing us a patriotic song. But she was soon overwhelmed by the general chant, "God, Syria, Bashar al-Assad." Asked to draw a picture, this little lad has come up with tanks, guns, in the colours of the government flag. This is one of several shelters across Damascus for people displaced by the fighting.
The reason we're doing this is because we've seen what happens to Syrians who have to leave the country for refugee camps. They're treated very badly. We don't want that to happen again.
They may wear anoraks, which are in fact the flag of Assad's Syria, but they claim anyone here is welcome, whatever their political affiliation.
Well, from Syria, a reminder of our top stories before we go. The President, His Excellency Sheikh